During the prelude, that's basically this opening music stuff. I'll go do the candle. All right, and then I'll let you do this Missouri River. All right, sounds good. I'll have yours at the end of it, okay? Instead of in the middle. Oh, yeah, there you go. The other one. All right, perfect. Yep, I got it. Welcome to First Congregational. Today, we are welcome to have you here with us today online. Glad you can join us. Today, we have a few announcements. I was a little concerned that Jan wasn't going to be able to share her concerns, but she has come through, and she wanted us to be aware of the Advent boxes. The list of items requested will be on the table by the front door, and wrapped boxes are available in the narthex, and we are to put our items in the wrapped boxes, and we would like to deliver those boxes on December 18th. So we need to have those donations back by December 14th, and sorry for the short notice. but not having church this week and last has kind of put us back a little bit. Also, Jane wanted us to be aware of the giving tree located on the bulletin board by the choir room. Items for the foster children's closet there, we plan to deliver on December 22nd. So all the items need to be returned by December 21st on that, and items do not need to be wrapped. We also have another announcement that George Owens will be in surgery on December 12th, and our prayers are with George. Also, there is a brochure on the table about a fundraiser for the Sanford Center that if you're interested in that. And I think also Michael and Pastor Brett have some announcements as well.
Okay, so today at 5 p.m. at the Cathedral, the Missouri River Choral Society will be having its Christmas concert. This is my first concert performing with them. It's a great group of musicians, and I'm really excited for it. Tickets are $10 and can be purchased at the door, so it's 5 o'clock at the Cathedral of the Epiphany.
And two other, we have two other announcements. So tomorrow evening is going to be our Solidarity for a Better World, and because it's a second Monday of the month, it's going to be the potluck as well. So please bring a dish to pass. Our speaker is going to be Carol Garwood, and she's been to Palestine just last week and has had many other trips there as well. So she'll be speaking on her experiences in Palestine. So it should be a very interesting session. And then Christmas Eve, we'll have candlelight service of readings and carols, and that'll be at 5 p.m. On Christmas Eve. And we've invited the First Christian Church. They'll be joining us as well in that. All are welcome, of course, and in giving birth to Christ's divine virtues in our lives and our world. We are in need of readers for that service, so let me or Michael know if you can help. Thank you. We welcome you online, especially today because of our snow situation. And so thank you for showing up online to attend our service. We want to affirm God's presence in all of us. So welcome to First Congregational United Church of Christ of Sioux City, Iowa, a community of faith where you matter. God has created you to matter, and we believe that you do matter. You matter whether you are poor or rich, unknown or famous, sick or healthy, homeless, homebound, or having a home. You matter as a black or brown person or as a person whose skin color is neither of these. For differing pigmentation is the beauty and splendor of diversity. You matter as a person of faith, one seeking faith, one who wrestles with the very idea of faith, or even one who has no faith at all. You matter no matter your sexual identity or orientation. You matter no matter your age, ethnicity, mental or emotional or physical attributes, or family structure. You matter if you have a criminal record or if you've never been arrested. Single or married, or neither of the two makes any difference on whether you matter to God or to us. You do. We all matter here, for we are a community who values all persons, no exceptions.
We are going to do our centering of our souls, and especially here today, we scramble around, try to get things set up. Maybe you're scrambling at home, but we hope to just take a breath here and center ourselves and Let's focus on these words. You call us together, O God, not simply for the comfort of our souls, but to prepare us for the task of creating justice and peace in our world.
We come to hear your voice,
Faithfulness, discipleship, preparing us for the journey
of living in love by peace.
We can become too preoccupied with better days that once were. Our lives sometimes feel like stumps, trees cut down, with little hope of new life. You tell us a shoot can arise from a stump, a branch can grow out of the roots of faithfulness. You remind us that you do not judge us by our positions or our success in this world, but rather by our commitment to righteousness and faithfulness in living by your ways of love and peace. The prophets, ancient, contemporary, a vision of the world you want for us, one which all the creatures, human and non-human, live in the blessing of harmony, mutual care. We are prone, however, to not take your vision seriously, treating it as mere hopes and wishes, but not that which can actually be lived in practice in real life. See vision place which to take place by your own supernatural miracle, rather than diligence, discipline of our whole lives, lived by perpetual silence, overcome the various forces. You ask us to prepare the way of Christ and to make it easier for others to walk by Christ's virtues on a straight and level path. And yet we fail to recognize how much effort that will take from us, generation after generation. Endure the hardships of living constantly by love. May our discipline and work be inspired by your vision for a better world, a world in which there are no enemies, no antagonists, no poor or weak or oppressed, where there is no predator or prey, but only peace between all creatures, great and small.
May we be the ones who prepare for your reign in every heart, mind, and soul,
invite you to reign in our home, in the name of the Prince of Peace. May it be so.
O come, Emmanuel, and ransom captive Israel, that mourns in lonely exile here, until the child of God appeared. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to you, O Israel. O come, O wisdom from on high, and order all things far and nigh. To us the path of knowledge show, and help us in that way to go. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to you, O Israel. O come, O day spring, come and cheer our spirits by your advent here. Love stir within the womb of night, and death's own shadows put to flight. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to you, O Israel. O come, desire of nations, bind all peoples in one heart and mind. Make envy, strife, and quarrel cease. Fill the whole world with heaven's peace. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to you, O Israel.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for sharing your gift with us. I love that a cappella music. Awesome stuff. Before we go to the Advent ceremony preparation real quick, I want to share this children's sermon, if that's okay. I was wondering this week, like, what would I actually share? I wasn't sure, and then yesterday I was sitting in the movie Wicked, and dawned on me that the Christmas story is just everywhere. It's right in front of us all the time. Hopefully we can develop the ability to see Christmas all around us. I always tell my literature kids, if you can't see these stories in your own life, they're dead. And so I saw a bunch of Christmas in that movie. It's interesting how the Wizard of Oz just doesn't go away. The story was written in 1900 by Frank Baum. Of course, it turned into that iconic movie in 1939. And it's funny how the story keeps being retold and put into the context of its time. And so there's something about that story that really draws us in and speaks to us. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about that movie. I don't want to give anything away, but the wizard, as you probably know, is a sham. The guy's a carnival worker. And he really doesn't have any power. He just uses smoke screens to scare everybody into compliance. And there's a drought going on in Emerald City of Oz, and he puts the blame on the animals. The movie is actually about animals. It's very interesting. The animals once had the power to talk in this movie, and it says that they lost the ability to speak, but actually it's probably the people lost the ability to hear the animals. But there's one person, Alphaba, who realizes that this whole thing's a sham, and she stands opposed to the whole Emerald City mythology around the wizard, and she challenges him, and of course he has to get the propaganda machine against her and calls her the Wicked Witch of the West. When Glinda comes to, at the end of the movie, she says, Oz is for all of us. And the second she says that in this movie, all the animals come out, and they stand side by side with humans. So America is for all of us, includes animals as well. I love that. Today's reading is kind of odd. I've always been a little embarrassed by the reading when it says, like, the lion is going to lay down with the sheep and the lion's going to start eating hay and stuff like that. I'm like, that's not the nature that I know, okay? Nature is a different thing to me, the web of life. But it's not to be taken literally, obviously. This is metaphoric literature type stuff. But I think that the big vision that Isaiah had has still not been realized, in that there is harmony, unity, equality between species, and we are still not there. I love this passage today. It says we need to get in touch with our roots. Our roots have been telling us about the interconnectedness of everything for a long time. We simply are not listening. But it says that when the Spirit of God comes, there will be wisdom, understanding, strength, knowledge, and reverence for God. And that we will make this dwelling an honorable place. It is not honorable right now. Not everybody sits at the table. But Oz is for everyone. Everyone, even other species. Christmas ought to be the most radical holiday of the church year. It's that vision of when we finally get that life is sacred. God is here right now. Therefore, this whole thing is special. May we hold it that way. And I think our only duty in Christmas is, well, first, is to be like Mary and to sit and ponder the incredible sacredness and specialness of life, and then to get out and do something about it. We're going to do our ceremony of the lighting of the candles. We have 2 candles today. We've done hope last week, and now it's faith. And so it says, during Advent, we celebrate our faith, that Christ not only came into this world, but can come into our lives. Too often, we romanticize what it means for Christ to come into our lives and don't take it seriously, and how this could change our lives. It means not only changing our practices and habits, but also our spirit, our perspective, our attitude, our eyes. This change will not take place without effort, preparation. Preparation for such change requires spiritual discipline, reading our Bible, giving tithes, offerings, praying, even fasting. These are some of the traditional ways we can work for a greater spiritual discipline in our lives. Also, practicing gratitude and thankfulness are also helpful. But it is loving and forgiving our brothers and sisters and making peace with family and friends and enemies and sacrificing our own interests in order to generously provide for the needs of others that are really the telltale signs of our faith. What distinguishes faith from belief is active service, a service that takes place when we prepare ourselves to live out our faith. We prepare ourselves for faithfulness when we practice the values of our faith, when we cultivate the habits that correspond to faithfulness, and when we develop the virtues and character in accordance with our faith. Faith is more than simply what we believe. It is what we trust in enough to live out in our everyday lives. Faith means that we are willing to act on that which we believe. Practicing our faith prepares us for greater faithfulness tomorrow. Hope and expectation are also part of this journey of faith. We light the candle of hope and expectation to remember that how necessary they are for our spiritual lives. Hope and expectation tell us to think about the living of life, but faith tells us how to think about living of life, but faith and preparation are how to actually live it. If we expect to have faith, that means meaningful and fulfilling for our lives. We are to plan for it, work for it, focus our minds and hearts on it, and act on it moment to moment. Our faith will not fail us if we are prepared to carry out our faith. And this is the good news indeed. As we light the Advent candle of faith and preparation, let us remember the disciplined spiritual life of faith and preparation that Jesus revealed through his life and teachings. May we follow the path that he started as we go out constructing a world of understanding, kindness, and harmony, a beloved community. May we make it so.
Thank you, Todd. And Michael. Our time for prayer is upon us, and if you there at home have prayers, joys, concerns, or any acts of kindness or compassion, please send them, and we will get them, and I think we might already have one listed.
I do. I have a message from Kelly out in Colorado talking about Jeff's dad has been in the hospital again with a lung infection, and they almost lost him. So prayers.
For Jeff's dad. Okay, very good. We keep you all in our prayer, our Colorado colleagues. Others? I'd like to share with you a random act of kindness which comes from Japan. Some of you will probably remember this event as it didn't take place too many years ago. But it's a matter of, if you ask for acts of kindness or intentional deed of compassion, this pretty much epitomizes what it is. It's giving up one's life for younger neighbors. What more powerful way is there to serve your neighbor than to be willing to die for them? In an extreme act of unselfishness, a group of Japanese retirees showed how powerful and life-saving caring for their neighbors can be. Due to damage by a tsunami caused to the Fukushima nuclear plant, the plant was spewing harmful radiation into the community. It created a terrible catch-22 as the longer it went on, the more people were at risk. Yet the radiation was so high that anyone who went in to clean it would be at risk of death. Yasutaro Yamato, a 72-year-old engineer, decided that the only way to save his neighbors would be to sacrifice himself. He organized the Skilled Veterans Corps, a group of retirees over 60, to go in and stabilize the plant. It isn't brave, it's practical, he told the BBC. Even if I were exposed to the radiation, cancer could take 20 or 30 years or longer to development. Therefore, us older ones have less chance of getting the cancer. That is really an incredible sacrificial act, and wow, what an example of how to care for our neighbors. Any others that need to be mentioned? Okay. Let us be in silent meditation as we take our hearts to God. Holy God, in this season of Advent, a time in which we come to expect and prepare for the coming of the Christ child into our lives and into our world. We're thankful for the example that Christ child gave us as he grew up to be a man and to be a person who showed us the way to truth and life and goodness. We are the followers of that babe born in Bethlehem. We're grateful for the way that you have spoke to generation after generation of how to love one another as we love ourselves. We're thankful for the positive actions of people throughout history who have done just that. And we weep when there are so many in this world, past and present, who are not loving others as they love themselves. Help us to transform this world, to be the world that you have called us to be a place of bliss and harmony for all people and all creation. We pray all these things in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Before we do the unison prayer, just real quick, I think sometimes the worship services are so organized and everything. Something you said triggered something in me about that Japan site. Supposedly in Chernobyl, when they had to do the cleanup, they told these miners, you need to go in there and get that thing fixed. And they said, well, you need to tell us the truth. Are we going to die? They said, yeah, you're going to die. They said, okay, let's do it. We also had a president, Jimmy Carter, who went into a submarine, risked his life, faced a lot of radiation to fix a sub that was in meltdown. So these are amazing stories of people who take amazing sacrifice and love their neighbors incredibly. With that, just let's pray. Loving Spirit, who is here and there, we're grateful for your tender care. Your virtues rise, your values prized, near and far and everywhere. Feed our bodies and feed our souls, and by forgiveness make us whole. And may we all evils deplore as we search and sail for mercy's shore. May peace and love within us rule, and justice be your Spirit's tool, now and always, for us and others, and for all creation. May we make it so, all as one, by your inspiration. Amen. Who wrote that? Did you write that? Oh, Pastor Brett wrote that. That's good. Our reading comes from Isaiah. It's a classic prophet for Advent season. This comes out of chapter 11. It says this: "A shoot will come out from the stump of Jesse, and a branch will grow and bear fruit out of its roots. The Spirit of God will rest on it, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and strength, and the Spirit of knowledge and reverence for God. Its delight will be in the reverence of God. It will not judge by what one's eyes see, appearances, or decide what one hears by hearsay, but with righteousness will judge for the poor and decide with equity for the oppressed of the earth. It will strike the violent with the rod of one's mouth, and with the breath of one's lips it will kill the wicked. Righteousness will be a belt around one's waist, and faithfulness the belt around one's loins. The wolf will live with the lamb, the leopard will lie down with the young goat, and the calf and the lion will feed together, and the little child will care for them. The cow and the bear will graze, their young will lie down together, and the lion will eat straw like the ox. The nursing child will play over the hole of an asp, and the weaned child will put its hand in the adder's den. They will not hurt or destroy on all my holy mountain, for the earth will be full of knowledge of God as the waters cover the sea. On that day, the root of Jesse will stand as a signal to the peoples, and the nations will inquire of them, and their dwelling will be honorable." That is our reading today.
Some years ago, I learned about the Jewish term hesed, which is variously translated in English as compassion, mercy, loving kindness, righteousness, even egalitarian justice and other magnanimous virtues that imply an unfailing covenantal relationship with others in which one will necessarily act on behalf of others, and not only oneself. It deepened my own understanding of what the English transliterations meant, for it not only encompassed them all, but did so with a sense of how this was a communal, not just an individual virtue. And what's more, it was to be an enduring, an unending virtue that one would uphold no matter the circumstances, based on who one was oneself, not on how deserving others are. It reminded me of the Greek word agape, which is often translated as unconditional love. More recently, I learned that another term, tzedek, a very similar term, tzedakwe, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing those correctly, but nonetheless, that those are translated with the same English words as hesed. Trying to understand these terms better, I searched out Jewish scholarship and discovered there is not unanimity and agreement over the distinctive denotations and connotations these three words have. They all seem rather similar to a layperson, but despite the consensus among scholars, they are not identical terms. Yet, consensus ends there, it seems. To the best of my understanding, notably limited in this case, it seems that hesed is the spirit of compassion and loving kindness mixed with justice and righteousness, which will inevitably lead one to act on the welfare of others. And tzedek, it seems, is when that action or behavior takes place, which is constitutive of hesed. For scholars, it's a valid distinction, though most lay people are apt to use the terms interchangeably, since one cannot exist without the other. Isaiah uses the term tzedek here instead of hesed in verse 5, but perhaps more due to poetical structures and rhyme schemes than because of the accuracy of the terms. We can certainly offer him that poetic license, even if hesed may have been technically more accurate. In a culture such as ours, which waters down meaningful words and creates trite colloquialisms that make them seem rather shallow, it's all the more important to recognize that this was not the tradition of our spiritual ancestors. They had profoundly deep meanings to their words. And they often had similar words they used to denote peculiarities about words that we cast to the trash heap of modern language. I find it refreshing to learn about the deeper meaning of words from our spiritual ancestors. Words meant something, and you're to use them precisely and accurately. They were often very particular about how to use them well and best. It's a trait I wish more people in our own society relished. Isaiah was speaking to the people in this passage during the Assyrian captivity, a time when the people were despondent over having been conquered by an authoritarian power, which made them feel that they were no longer themselves. Isaiah's description of them as a stump was metaphorically superb. It is as if the nation itself, once a great tree, had been cut down and that all that was now visible was just this stump. However, they knew back then, as we do today, that all that is visible is not all that is. Beneath the stump were roots that were still alive. If you have been on many nature hikes, you will have likely come across stumps in which new shoots and branches have grown from, all made possible by the underlying root system that seeks to stay alive and thus extends a shoot to capture the sunlight, to help the rains and groundwater as well as the soil which nourish the tree to life. It is the roots which keep the tree alive when all seems lost to the visible eye. It's the roots which refuse to let being cut down be the final verdict on what can be. Roots. The roots of our faith, the roots of our character are the same. They are what keep us alive when all else seems lost. They are what nourish us back to life when so much of life seems to have perished, when we were financially or socially or relationally or otherwise cut down by others. It is our roots which save us from dying, not just physically, but spiritually and ethically. Roots are what former Navy pilot, now Arizona Senator Mark Kelly, relied on when refusing to cave into pressure from this fascist regime. When he and others made a video for military recruits to be reminded to follow the law, the Constitution, rather than illegal orders, as was their oath to the Constitution and the nation, not to a president. Kelly and the others are now being targeted by this regime And Trump himself called for their executions for telling the troops to follow the law, to follow the Constitution, rather than unjust or illegal orders. This is what fascists do. But Kelly refuses to disobey his oath and his moral and legal roots. He refuses to be silenced. And there are many more like him in our country. Roots are what protesters reveal who month after month show up to speak against the lies, oppose the injustices, and refuse to be compliant with the immoral policies of a government that is filled with white supremacists and fascists and bigots who are targeting people based on the color of their skin and their nationality and ethnicity. Roots are what we all need to say no to the illegal orders and the unethical behavior of those who are kidnapping, humanly trafficking, and putting humans in concentration camps. We need our roots when government itself has been the axe of tyranny and racism. We need our roots when the justice system has not only not been compromised, but becomes an agency of attack among our most vulnerable. We need our roots when the legislative branch of our government is complicit with the vile evils of this regime's targeting of the poor, the sick, and the immigrant. Our roots, these virtues and values, which are the foundations of our faith tradition, are the very things we need to respond to a takeover of our society by the morally worst, ethically most corrupt individuals that we can imagine. Isaiah knew this, and hopefully we know this. It is our commitment to our root values, values like Hesed and Tzedek, that will keep us spiritually alive in times when the storms of fascism have toppled us and left us like a clear-cut forest. Like the people of Isaiah's time, we need to be reminded that a shoot can arise from the stump, and that a branch can grow and even later bear fruit because of the roots which sustain us. This Advent message is so apropos for our own time. It reminds us to stay vigilant to the truth, to our values, to our virtues, and to our humanity as we confront the lies, the corruption, the evil, and the inhumanity of the Trump regime. Advent is the time in which we hope and expect, have faith and prepare for a better world than the one we have now. Advent reminds us to never give up our roots to those who are fine with cutting us down financially, medically, educationally, legally, spiritually, and morally. In Isaiah's time, as in Jesus' time, and now in our own, we are confronted with authoritarians who believe it is their divine right to be superior to everyone else. A perversion of our roots, which tell us that we are all of equal worth and intrinsic dignity. We will reject these false prophets, and we will stay true to our roots. This, or rather that, is what will keep us spiritually and ethically alive. That is how, to quote Isaiah, the Spirit of God will rest on it. The Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and strength, the Spirit of knowledge and reverence of God. That is what will enable us to let a shoot, a branch, a new tree that bears fruit to come among us, to come from us as we rise up to defy the dictators of destruction. As Isaiah reminds us, our roots are in the values of God, not wannabe tyrants. We are the ones who know we are not to judge simply by what we see or what we hear, seeing the stump of our nation and hearing the words of hatred by this deplorable regime. For we know that what lies below the visible and the audible is the source of our life. It is our roots which will keep us alive in these dark times. We may now be in a winter of fascism, but if we remain true to our roots, there will be a spring of democracy and egalitarianism. Hopefully far better than we've ever known it in this country or anywhere on earth. We will need to clothe ourselves with the virtues that are the very root of our faith, Hesed and Tzedek. As Isaiah implores, righteousness will be the belt around one's waist, and faithfulness the belt around one's loins. We all need to be faithful to these, our spiritual and ethical roots. This is who we are to be. Maybe it's not who we have ever truly been as a nation, but it has long been who we have aspired to be as a people of faith. As people of faith, we are not weakened by what we see or what we hear. For we know that there is a stronger reality that awaits those who carry on the faith of our roots. Our faith is in the God of justice for all, of unconditional love toward all, of compassion for the lowliest, of kindness to the weakest, of mercy to the oppressed, and of peace for those who have suffered from the violence of variously humanly created injustices. When we ourselves feel like our society has been cut down and that only a stump remains, we need to be the prophets who remind us that this is the time of Advent, for the coming of that which is sacred and good and truthful and right. In this season of darkness, we need to remind each other of the light that is to come if we stay true to our roots and build a better world than we have ever known. This is not naivety. It is what it means to have faith with authenticity. Sometimes what we most need in life is faith. Faith that things can turn around and be completely transformed from a stump to a fruit-bearing tree. Many of you know that I have served many congregations across the country, but that I grew up in the state of Indiana. Since I can remember, Indiana University was never very good in football. Indeed, they were notably one of the worst Division I schools in the country for nearly all of my life. But then they recently hired a coach, Kurt Signetti, who had faith that things could change, not just a little, but radically. Last year, his team had one of the best seasons in Indiana football history, losing only one regular season game and then one in the playoffs. It was amazing to see the transformation, but many still did not believe that it was possible, even though it occurred, that Indiana really was a good football team. Many were doubters and remain so to this year, even though this year they've had the largest margin of victory over their opponents this season of any team in the nation. Though they beat one of the best teams in the nation, Oregon, on their own field, which simply doesn't get done, many still claim they had played no one. Many thought they would get obliterated when they played the most talented team in the nation, Ohio State, in the Big Ten championship game, just as they lost to them last year at the end of the season by 23 points. But this year proved that last year was no fluke, but just a stepping stone to an even better year. They are now the only undefeated team in the nation. Indiana, having beaten in last night's Big Ten championship the #1 team in the country and last year's national championship team in the Ohio State Buckeyes. According to a talent poll, Indiana had the number 72 best football team in accordance with the talent on their roster. But my, do they have heart. My, do they have faith. My, do they play as a team, not focusing on individual efforts, but what they can do together when everyone steps up. Even when no one else believed in them or their transformation, they believed that they could be Big Ten champions. And it only took them 2 years to do. Now, you may not be an Indiana fan, but their journey is already being called the biggest turnaround in the entirety of the history of college football. From a team traditionally considered to be among the worst teams to now being undeniably the best team in the country after having defeated the former best team and the last remaining undefeated team there is. They will be ranked #1 in the country later today. How amazing is that? They went from a stump to a shoot, a branch, and then a fruit-bearing tree. That is the kind of amazing transformation Isaiah was talking about in our passage today. Like Coach Signetti, he had a vision of what things could be like, how utterly transformed things could be if we only had the faith and the heart and the spirit and the soul to make it happen. Isaiah's vision needs to become our own vision. We need to see our society and the world for what we dream it can be, not what it has been. When Isaiah proclaims, the wolf will live with the lamb, the leopard will lie down with the young goat, the calf and the lion will feed together, and the lion will eat straw like the ox, and the nursing child will play over the hole of the asp, and the weaned child will put its hand in the adder's den. We must let our own shoots sprout and kiss the sunlight of God's eternal hesed towards us. We need to follow in God's ways, letting hesed lead our own conduct and lives, no matter how dark the night or how long the winter. For there is a spring that is coming if we let our roots live within us until they sprout and flower and finally bear fruits of hesed that we have all long dreamed that they should. If animals, predators, and prey can change their ways, as Isaiah said, then why can't we? If they can put aside their animosities and learn to live as siblings and friends with one another, what's stopping us from doing the same? We need visionaries, especially in fascist and authoritarian times, to remind us that another world is not only possible, but is ready to sprout and bear fruit. We have these roots that keep us alive. We too are the roots that others need to catch that same vision of Isaiah, to trust more in a just world to come than we do in the corrupt world that is now among us. And we do this not by violence, but by implementing the very values of Hesed and Tzedek that our biblical roots remind us is our true nature. Hesed, compassion, justice, righteousness, loving kindness are the virtues and values we must not just work for, but the ones that we practice day by day. It may take a while for us to get through this dark, cold winter of fascism, but if we remain faithful to our roots and prepare for that better world of Hesed, then we will be able to bring it about with the grace of God. When none of us seeks to, as Isaiah says, hurt or destroy upon this whole earth, then God's values will live among us. And as he also says, they will live among us like the waters that cover the sea. This rootedness is our faith, implemented by our actions. It's what will stand as a signal to the peoples of the world. It is how our own dwelling will be honorable. Advent, the time in which we are in now, is the season of our faith and preparation for this new world to come. Won't you join me in helping to create this better world? Never forget our spiritual and ethical roots. No matter what happens in this world, they are the virtues and the values that root us in the soil of God's Hesed. They are what keep us alive and allow us to sprout and bear fruit on this blessed earth. Blessings may we be as we become the faithful people of Hesed, the cardinal virtue that will lead us to become the world God and visionaries have long dreamed that we could be. May we be.
As written of old, how God's new creation shall come. Instead of the thorn tree, the fir tree shall grow. The wolf shall lie down with the lamb, the lamb. The wolf shall lie down with the lamb. The mountains and hills shall break forth into song. The peoples be led forth in peace. The earth shall be filled with the knowledge of God as the waters cover the sea, as the waters cover the sea. Yet nations still prey on the meek of the world, and conflict turns parent from child. Your people despoil all the sweetness of earth. The briar and the thorn tree grow wild, grow wild. The briar and the thorn tree grow wild. God, bring to fruition your will for the earth, that no one shall hurt or destroy, that wisdom and justice shall reign in the land, and your people shall go forth in joy, in joy. Your people shall go forth in joy.
Thank you, Michael. And also, thank you for that sermon. And may we be faithful to our roots. We do need visionaries. And I'll concede everything you said, even about Indiana. However, I do want to add the margin of victory over Iowa was 5. So just want to put that out there just a little bit, okay? But Indiana, awesome. It's a good. This is time for our giving of tithes and offerings, which is kind of different today. Generosity, it says here, arises from gratitude, like heat from fire. And like fire, gratitude is lovely to see, but when it warms others with generosity, that is when it becomes a true blessing. We invite you to place your offering online or by mail. Thank you. You bet. You bet.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a quick instructional on how to give online in case, this might be the first time you've ever tried to do it. So if you just go onto our website at firstcongregational.net, click on the menu there. There should be a tab for donation, and then we use Tithely, and that's how our donations are made. So this is a good opportunity for you to maybe check out how that all works. Otherwise, of course, you can give by mail if that's more comfortable for you. Thank you.
I think we'll do our prayer of unison, of dedication. O God, whose coming was tender and mild, but whose presence is empowering and passionate, we are thankful for the hope you inspire in our world where poverty is painful and loving kindness is lacking. Jolt us with justice that the world's prayers for peace may be answered. Jostle us with generosity that we may know the joy of giving. In this season of Advent, enter into our hearts, that hope may arise within us to expect that which has been promised, that nourishment will be provided for the hungry, that comfort will call upon the suffering, that freedom will ensue for the imprisoned, that justice will be imparted to the persecuted, and that compassion will nurture the oppressed, that peace will pacify the violent, and that love will live in the midst of all peoples and creatures that you have declared good. May this gift of hope that you give to us be passed on to others by how we give of ourselves through our time, talents, tithes, and offerings. Blessings may we be. Amen.
The advent of the Christ draws near. With hope and faith we conquer fear. Let love and peace in us be found. Let joy within our hearts abound.
Hear these words of encouragement for your own spiritual journey. This is the season of Advent, the season of something divine coming into the world. Prepare yourselves for the divine to come into your life. Hope for it, but more than that, expect it. Look for ways in which the divine can find its way into you. Then look for ways in which you can share the divine with others. Love like you want to be loved. Forgive like you want to be forgiven. Be the peace to others that you want for yourself. Give such that others will call you generous. Live such that others see the beauty of your spirit. Join with me in singing together, "Let There Be Peace on Earth."
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God our Creator, children all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let